The REL T0 is my new loudness button. Do you know what a loudness button is? Okay, my audiophile friends, here we are again. Another overdubbed video by yours truly, Pedro Diaz, from the Metropolitan Opera. A lot of you asked me for some of these videos, so keep the requests coming and I will oblige. Hello, my dear audiophile. Welcome to another review on the great channel, the Audiophilos y Locos, because we all have some of audiophile and crazy in us. And I present to you my new loudness button, the REL T0. Let's talk about what it is to have a loudness button. Because if you were born after 1990, maybe you don't know what a loudness button is. Why? Because loudness buttons disappeared almost completely after the 90s. Now, am I saying the wrong thing by saying loudness button? Because there's also loudness controls, variable ones. In the end of the 70s and beginning of the 80s, Japanese companies got crazy adding buttons to the receivers. All the receivers had buttons, more and more buttons, so they could compete. They offer more, less distortion, more watts, and 0.000001 distortion. That was the goal, to sell you the systems they wanted to sell you, like as if they were toaster, as if they were kitchen appliances. But what happened is that the audiophiles started to complain that all of those buttons were getting in the way of the signal path, and they were not, a purist design. So it was us. We are guilty of losing the loudness button. But the loudness button has a very important use, and it has to do with a phenomena called the Fletcher-Monson scale. What is the Fletcher-Monson scale? I found the definition here, and I try to explain it in the best way I can, but you know that I don't know anything. I'm not a NASA scientist. According to Wikipedia, the Fletcher-Monson, also called the isophonic curve, is because Fletcher and Monson in 1933, while they were working for Bell Labs, designed these curves. And it had more to do with the research of communications and telephones, ultramarine cables. But the isophonic curves are curves of sound in which you can calculate the frequency and intensity in decibels of two sounds so they can be perceived. Okay, you get the idea here. I'm just reading very fast. Anyway, you can look it up if you want. So, related to the isophonic curves are the curve A and decibels A and curve B, decibels B, and curve C, 100 phonius. Let me just explain to you quickly, so we can talk about the subwoofer, which is the reason why you're here. What happens is that we don't listen linearly. When music gets loud, you can hear more bass, more treble. So you don't need any tone controls when music is at healthy and loud levels. But what you have maybe found is that if your speakers lack a little bit of bass or they don't have a lot of treble, you end up turning the volume up to compensate, because at higher volumes you can hear it. So when you lower the volume, you lose the ability to hear the bass and the treble. That's what the loudness control is for. So when you lower the volume, it boosts. It gives it an equalization, more V-shaped. So then you can hear those registers, those frequencies at lower volumes. That's what the loudness control is for. Some receivers had a button, but others, like Yamaha or Harman Kardon and others, they had a variable potentiometer. Some call it contour or loudness. It was possible to have both contour and loudness because contour wasn't exactly a loudness button. And this is important because we don't really hear the same way, not just you and me, but at different volumes, we don't hear the same. That's why I don't like having subwoofers generally. And also don't like to have speakers that have controls in the tweeters or mid-ranges. Why? Because I know that I'm always going to want to be tweaking. I'm going to be messing around. I'm going to be moving those controls. I don't want to have the ability to mess around. And I don't want to have a subwoofer because all those tonal changes, I'll do it by matching the system and the cables. But I don't want to have that kind of opportunity. However, a loudness control is a lifesaver for when you have a system in your living room or in your small room and you want to listen to volume at low levels and you don't want to lose the quality. The loudness control can be good. Why did they took it away? It's all our fault. Everybody wanted the purest design. Everyone wanted a line direct. Everybody wanted that. Now, of course, some amplifiers also had a direct button, so you could defeat it. So you could use it direct, but then at night, in a romantic setting, then you can use the loudness control. I have a subwoofer. I've had good subwoofers in the past. I try to use them with my quads, but it's very hard to match it because of the speed of the quads. So I bought an SVS speaker a while ago. It was big, and I tried to use it. I got the mini DSP microphone, and I had the REW program in my laptop. And I know some of you are going to troll me. It's okay. Keep going. But the problem with this is that if I don't know how to use the program very well, and I set it up to listen to my subwoofer at 80 decibels, it's going to give me a recommendation, and it's going to tell me what's happening. And I'm going to end up adjusting my subwoofer. But what was happening is that when I listen to volume at different volumes, to music at different volumes, or a different program, a different kind of music, then it wouldn't sound the same. And that made me have to get up and move the subwoofer and adjust it for the right kind of music or the volumes. Or another company that's using the Fletcher-Monson curve is Apple. Apple is using it with their new AirPods Pro. Those earpods, when you lower the volume, you get a loudness correction. You get more bass and treble. And then it goes away when you raise the volume. So what would be the great thing about using the principles of the Fletcher-Monson scale? Is to protect your ears. That's what it's for. If you're going to listen to music at 50 decibels or 60, then you can use the loudness control and the sound will sound full. The music will permeate all around the room. And that's what the most important thing is. The most important thing is to protect your hearing. You can't be listening to 87 and 90. And that's where the real value of the REL subwoofer comes. Because this subwoofer, which is only $499, it's not really like a super killer subwoofer that makes the air shake. I've seen some pictures on Instagram and Facebook of people who buy these big speakers and then they buy the subwoofers. It makes me afraid. Anyway, it's fantastic because for $500, it's tiny And you can take speakers like the Magnepans, the LRS, which is a great speaker. But unfortunately, it doesn't have the most incredible bass in the world. And you can feel that octave in the Magnepans with this. And they'll give you the feeling of having a loudness control. The Magnepans or the Sony CS5, which I like so much, or affordable speakers, small speakers at low volumes, are going to sound fantastic. They're going to sound full. Now, again, you're not going to make the earth shake or your neighbors want to kill you. But you'll hear the bass without boominess, and you'll be surprised the amount of bass that you get from this little box with that tiny driver. It's amazing. Speaking of drivers, let's see what the REL page says about the this REL T0 subwoofer. This is a T0 MK3. You can get it in white, black, and that's about it. The negro is very nice. The black one, it's like a piano, black piano, and it's really well finished. And here you can see the controls, the connections, specifications. 6.5 inches, 100 watts, and frequency response. I'm looking for it. It goes down to 37 and minus 6 dB. So I'd say maybe around 40. 40 hertz is good. That's most full range speakers. So it'll be kind of like the Lintons, you know. Again, this is like a loudness control. Don't think of it as something that you want to just destroy your eardrums with, or annoy your neighbors. It's something that will complement very economic speakers, and it will make them so much better. Or panel speakers, because panel speakers like the LRSs or the Quads, they don't play super loud, and they don't have incredible amounts of bass, so this will fill in that lower octave again. Here they have a calculator for which kind of subwoofer you can buy, but this review is for the T0. The connections are very simple. There's no apps, there's no computer graphics or anything. It has a special cable that I never really seen before, except at Jeff Rowland equipment. I know it's a type of professional connector, but it's very solid, and it's a little bit daunting for someone who's never done this kind of connection, but this is how they come. And this is for high-level connection. So you connect it to the output of your amplifier. One for the right, one for the left, and the other one is for the ground. It could be physical ground on the amp, or one of the black connectors on the speaker. And with that, you just make a direct connection to the amplifier. Now, that's not going to put any pressure on your amplifier. That's just to get the signal. This has its own amplifier. So you're not using your amplifier to drive that subwoofer. But I don't really know how to explain it to you either. It doesn't affect how your amplifier works. In fact, Van der Steen recommends also this kind of high-level connection. Here you can see that you can have the volume. These are the crossover points. And this is to control it with the receiver output on a RCA connector, because it has RCA connectors too, if you want to use it that way. Just one cable, the LFE connection on a receiver or an amplifier, you can use that, preamplifier, I should say. You can change the phase here, or you can use the auto sensing circuit So it's either always on or just turn on by itself when it feels that there's a signal. The finish is incredible. It's first rate. I can't believe the quality for $499. Really great finish. Now you can see though, just by me grabbing it, that it's a fingerprint magnet. You have to be very careful. But it is beautiful. And it comes in white also if you need that. But I really like the piano black. It's very nice. For $500, it's fantastic. I'm waiting to see if REL will send me another one so I can use it with my quads. Now, one of the advantages of having small subwoofers is that they are faster. And John Hunter recommends using smaller subwoofers with electrostatics like quads. There's another model that he recommends for the quads, but we've spoken about it, but I haven't gotten anywhere with that yet. But I would like to try another of these just to see how it works with the quads or maybe with the LRSs. You add subwoofers not so you hear louder bass, it's just to feel the room better, but also they can fix problems, standing waves and nodes. Adding more subwoofers can help the acoustics of your room. It's not necessarily to make more noise. The biggest problem with the subwoofer, to me, is me. That having the option to be messing around, traqueteando, like we say in Spanish, I'd rather not have the temptation. But if you like traqueteo, you can traqueteo. You can mess around. I can leave in the description where you can get this subwoofer, the REL TZero. And also, I'll leave you some links to some shorts that I have done of this subwoofer with other speakers. I think it's a great addition to an economic system where you have some nice small speakers like Klipsch or Sony's, or small JBLs or Maggie's, and you have an effective economical solution to the whole. Don't drive yourself to raise the volume. Don't push yourself to raise the volume. Listen to better music at lower volumes with more bass or room-filling sound without bothering your neighbors or your wife kicking you out. It's fantastic. I think it's invincible. It's hard to get something better for the price. And you can add others if you want, until your room has the right bass. Okay, thank you for watching the video, and check the links in the description. And I hope my video is of the quality that you were expecting, so give it a like and subscribe. You can reward me with that, or you can join Patreon on my other channel.